Mark, pull your mic a little bit that way. There you go. We got more
Okay.
of your face.
Yep. I'm a good-looking guy. People want to see my face.
All the sun you're getting everywhere
Yeah,
too. You bring out
exactly.
this tanning bag.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to the stream, everybody.
Oh, we're live. This is live. We're live in the stream.
You didn't change the title up top, by the way.
Yeah, no. I was telling him that earlier.
Yeah.
I didn't change it up top, and I deleted it in the middle spot. But hey, Chandler Tyson is such a great guy. He picked it up.
That's I'm really good at my job. Sometimes. Sometimes. All right. What here? I'll change this again. Kareem, what are we talking about today?
President Obama got a new dog.
Really?
No, I'm just joking. He really did. No, we're talking about today. Does corporate America, do these companies that we see out there, do they have a moral or a financial responsibility to communities of color? So as we talk about debt, and we talk about the wealth gap, and we talk about all of these things that are buzzwords now: equity, inclusion, diversity, all of those words that Mark has learned. And I just found now that you are what is it? What training did you find out?
Mindfulness.
Today I found out he's mindful.
I'm trying to be mindful.
So he's mindful today. And so
trying
when we
to
look
enjoy
at these
the
things,
moment, not be on a race to someplace at all times. So
what does that mean?
Yeah.
He needs to be in the moment. Everybody say woosah.
Yeah.
So we're going to just have that conversation, and a lot of these things may come up again, but there's a reason why I continually bring them up. And I was saying that with Chandler today. I said, Chandler, it's funny because we have these conversations, and they kind of end in the same space, and I think it's because spaces have not changed, and so until the dynamic or the color or the shapes of these spaces change, we'll have these conversations. We're still going to be talking about why aren't women being given equal pay for the same work, if not better than men are doing. And until those things change,
I have an opinion on that. So like women, WNBA, they should not be paid as much. They don't bring in anywhere near the revenue. They don't. So why should they be paid the same?
That's a little bit different.
Okay.
That particular situation.
That's like talking about actors and stuff. That's
right.
a different.
That's
situation.
apples and oranges, right? I'm not paying some of these actors what I'm gonna pay, who is it, Clint Eastwood, to do a movie. I'm just not doing it.
You're talking about just generally speaking.
Generally speaking. Okay. So when we're talking more
Chandler's
equal work for equal pay.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Mark the female Chandler.
So you're gonna pay Michael Jordan and Diana Taurasi the same amount of money? I don't think so, buddy.
Yeah.
That's not what we're talking. We're talking about equal pay for equal work.
Okay.
And not that she's not, putting in equal work, but she's certainly, in this misogynistic world that we have, there is a reason why Michael Jordan's value is so high. And that would be another conversation that we would have. It's because the good old boy system is behind what's marketed, what's important, see women. If you ever go watch the WNBA, and this is not what we're going to be talking about today.
We've gone on an extreme tangent. I apologize.
No. But the WNBA, I always thought this is like not very exciting. But when you go watch the WNBA, it's like watching a college basketball game versus a professional basketball game. Now, even though I worked in the NBA, what I loved best was college basketball. It was intense. It was exciting. They were playing with passion, and that's what you get when you watch the WNBA. Now they're dunking. I mean, so now it's not only that, but they give you the flair and all that other stuff as well. So I tend to think a little bit differently. And NBA is, until you get to the playoffs, I think it's all like, who are the investors and who are the shareholders on the team and what companies are sponsoring this week. It's a big, little good old guys club that hangs around and put some cute girls on the floor, and the guys go up and down and do some great stuff. Honestly, I don't see it being very exciting. But when you get to the playoffs, now the guys are playing for all the marbles and things change. Thank you, Mark. For the tangent
you
of the
didn't
moment.
press the start button.
Yeah, well, because that's not part of the show.
Okay.
Yeah. Ready?
We can get into it, and yeah, we'll make it a part of the show.
Sounds like a plan.
Be back in a moment.
Welcome to United Shades of Gray, Conversations of Race in America on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online at WSGW.com. Here is your host, Kareem Bowen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Kareem Bowen. We are in store for another edition of United Shades of Gray. You know, I was looking as we were coming in, I was vibing because when we chose this music, and shout out to the creator and the producer of that music, James Owens II, JO2. He plays with Angie Stone and a number of other individuals out there. And I just happen to be blessed to be able to know him. So he produces sounds and music for me. So James, great job out there. But I said, listen, I want something a little bit upbeat, something that you can kind of move to. I know sometimes over there, this WSGW audience, it maybe, you know, used to the 1 and the 3. Give me something on the 2 and the 4 so we can get this thing going. And so when we were coming in, Mark, normally you're bopping with me, and today you were just kind of.
No, I was.
As
you know, I'm a big James Brown fan.
Okay.
Make it funky, baby.
I feel good. That was a great time for you to put that placement in there where we could hear James Brown do a little ditty. But anyways, he's working, guys. We're working on Chandler Tyson. I think that name sounds like you are either a celebrity or a supermodel, whichever.
I'm going to carry that with me forever.
But ladies and gentlemen, we are here. Those of you who are in our stream, we certainly want to welcome you. Let's like, tag, and share the conversation with your friends. Let them know that we're here. And today we're going to jump into the conversation of, does corporate America, are they responsible? Is there responsibility that they have as we talk about, you know, morality and financial debt? They have a debt to pay to Black America. We're going to have that conversation today. Rebecca and Jenny, you guys, Rebecca Townsend and Jenny DeMore, you guys are the first two here. You guys are always here. Either you have absolutely nothing to do on Wednesdays at 7 p.m., or Mark, Chandler, and I are putting forth some interesting conversation. I hope it's the latter and not the first. But we want to thank you guys today. Chandler, what's going on, my man?
Pretty good week. It was really weird last night to go from like the rain that apparently turned into snow, and then coming in today, you guys are sitting down for your show, and it's a nice sunny day. In fact, it's so sunny, I had to move the camera in a weird way, so it like the sun wouldn't overpower Kareem here.
Well, and what he means by that, for those of you out there, this is the problem that those of us who are part of Black America always have. When I was a kid growing up, Mark, they would say, listen, whenever you take a picture in between two of your white friends. That way you have the best lighting as a Black man. I was so tired of being that little black greasy dot that would never show up in the picture, and all you saw was my teeth and my eyes. I'm like, you got to get my lighting right. So I've learned to position myself in areas. I don't mind the little halo. I got to catch my light.
You've got a halo effect right now.
There you go. And I love it.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Chandler?
I was going to say, it's like, that's a thing that they got to work on. Like that's an actual industry thing that they got to work on with exposures and stuff that they still don't. They got that facial detection. They got to work on that, because it's still, like with our camera, I had to fight to get that exposure.
Yeah, I mean,
beautiful.
I'm not super dark. I'm a nice brown honey roasted color, so it should be easy to captivate these red hues and tones that are in my skin. Shouldn't be all that difficult to work out. Now, my man Mark over here, Mark,
white is white, baby.
Mark
in Hawaii, they used to call me shark bait.
Mark is in here, but he's been traveling the country. Yeah, she's like roasted. Yes, I am honey roasted. But Mark has been traveling and
back from Boston.
Back from Boston. He's getting
beautiful mid-Michigan.
Sun from all over the place.
Yep.
But this weather has been absolutely brutal for me. I don't know about you guys, but to have it, I think the worst punishment could have been when you have a couple of days strung together that are 80, 85 degrees.
And then it's snowing.
And then the next day it's snowing.
There was a stream of expletives coming out of my mouth last night when I saw the snow.
But hey, it is what it is. Let's get into the stream of things, into the roll of things, and we're going to talk about what's hot off the press. And you guys, I don't know if you guys, and Mark, I know you love the news. You love the news, and those of you who are listening, hey, we want you guys to tune in. This show airs on WSGW on Sundays at 7 p.m. 100.5. And what's the other station?
That would be 790 a.m.
There you go, 790 a.m. It's a simulcast, so you can tune in and you can listen to this again. Always come back to the webpage here at WSGW, and you can find out this show and other great shows that are happening around the way. All right, so we're getting right to what's hot off the press, and I know that my guy Mark loves the news. So every time I send out anything that's current events in the news, I'm sure he has to Google.
I have to go look it up. Although
Siri.
I did see this, I did see this thing about the trade. Stunning.
I'm a James Patterson fan.
Yep.
I don't know. You know who James Patterson
No.
is? Okay. So James Patterson, I'm so sad. My heart has just gotten heavy. James Patterson is one of what I consider the most spy and espionage writers. And so I have all of his book from Master of the Game and all of these other things. But anyways, when I saw this whole trade, prisoner trade, it reminded me of like one of those novels that you read about
on the bridge in Berlin.
Yeah.
Trading, yeah.
And they were like, this is just how it happens in the spy movies.
Yeah.
But today, Russia freed an ex-Marine who had been, really in prison for a couple of years now, since 2019. Marine Trevor Reed, in exchange for this Russian citizen, Konstantin Yaroshenko. Doesn't that sound Russian? Konstantin Yaroshenko, who was actually serving a 20-year sentence here in the United States for drug smuggling. I don't know, what kind of drugs do they smuggle from Russia to the United States?
No clue.
I was just
whatever's coming up from Mexico.
Yeah, if it was South America, I was thinking
hotels are nicer up here.
And you know what? There's a lot of people that smuggle from the south of the border coming up because it's easier access in our country, I guess is what they say. But anyways, so this Russian guy was doing 20 years for drug smuggling. And so the Marine has been having a number of issues. I think they think he had TB or tuberculosis or something, and they were concerned about his health. And so this was two planes landing on the run strip. Passengers switch, the prisoners are switched, they get on the plane and they go about their merry way. This was really kind of interesting to me. Jenny DeMore said, hey, he looks sick. So that was one of the things. So Reed was arrested in 2019. Now he's out. He was supposedly disorderly conduct, assaulting an officer. In Russia, whatever they want you to be guilty of, they just say it, and then it is so. A number of people were asking the question, what about Brittany Griner? For those of you who are listening, Brittany Griner is that American athlete for the WNBA. We were just talking about the WNBA and how they are not paid. Women's rights. Hey, I'm a suffragist right now with you guys. Women are not paid, salaries that are commensurate with what men are doing. And so these women, and people didn't know this, but I met Lisa Leslie. I had her come to Saginaw. Man, this must have been about 2005. And she was saying how like during the summer, she has like a real job. So she goes and she has this real job. She does whatever. Brittany was over there playing in the WNBA or whatever the world.
The Russian equivalent.
The Russian equivalent, exactly. Because they got to make money. And so while she was there, I guess she was stopped and they said, she had vape pens or something of that nature. And she's been there since about All-Star Weekend, which was like the third weekend of February of this year. And so it's going to be interesting because a lot of people are saying, hey, what happened? What happens that they're sending this guy out, but, she's still being detained. So they have granted her the government right to be able to see her. She's been moved a couple of times, as was Mr. Reed. So we're hoping that eventually we'll get some news that Brittany Griner will finally make her way home. I would like to think that maybe just the stakes were higher for this ex-Marine versus, them leaving this young woman who has not been trained for battle in a foreign country while we are preparing to possibly be at war. So we'll see what happens. Interesting to say the least. So Black Kansas police officer, and I sent this video clip to you. Did you guys have a chance to see it?
I did.
Okay, so Black Kansas police officer. He's a police sergeant. Now he's a sergeant. He wasn't a sergeant at the time, but he was stopped by officers, 2 white officers.
Actually, one white and one Hispanic.
Hispanic. They were both light skinned. At that point.
Wait a minute here. Come on now.
But no, I'm just I got you. But they were being sued by the department. He's now suing the department. We don't really get a backstory on this other than this 3-minute clip, a minute and a half of which is,
the car
following. Yeah, the car following, the dash cam following the guy. So what were your thoughts about this? We see an engagement. And something that I was like, this is going to be awfully wrong when I saw the black officer at the stop get out of the car.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I watched it. When you sent it to me, I was expecting something, frankly, much worse than what I saw. I mean, I saw them pull him over. What I couldn't tell, he was definitely going faster than every other car. So I thought, well, maybe they're tracking him for speeding or something. And when they pulled him over, he got out of the car, which is always a no-no. They basically say
he's down.
Yeah,
Black Hawk down.
But he was wearing a uniform, and they approached him, and it was kind of obviously an unpleasant exchange. But they actually, at least on my viewing, never touched him.
Right.
They kind of left, and again he pulled off, and then them talking amongst themselves after he had left, they made a couple derogatory comments. So I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I'd sue over that, but it seems like the Kansas City Police Department, based on the articles I read, have an issue with racism and profiling. And so,
and that's the backstory.
But the video in and of itself, it's kind of like, you're suing over this. This seems kind of odd.
I kind of. What do you think, Chandler?
I don't know. If you're an officer and somebody comes up to you, did they ever say it was for speeding? Because that would be
that was one of the issues. They never said anything about why we're stopping you. Now he got out of his car and started talking before they could say.
At that point, I'd go I know what this is. Yeah. He knew. Yeah. So I think he might be in the right.
Yeah,
We'll prove it in court, but
I don't know how you're going to prove profiling, but.
Well, he was driving the same car that a million of the black friends that I know have, tinted out windows. I was sitting like, I've seen this car a million times in Oakland when we were out with the Warriors. It is actually one of the guys who works, he has the same vehicle. It's black, silver, accents on the car, blacked out windows, exact same car.
Yeah,
it's a black man's car.
When you sent it, I thought they were going to be physical with them and arrest them. And frankly, none of that happened.
I was kind of glad for one time, right? But I'll tell you, this is the issue. There has been, and the article lets us know that there has been issues. Have been issues with.
There's an internal investigation
already going on with issues on race in that area. And so I think that what people fail to understand, and it's funny, is that black men have. This has been. No matter where I've been, no matter what I have been doing, no matter where I'm coming from or going to, that has been such an integral part of my experience, being pulled over by police officers. No matter what I was driving, continually been, I do kind of drive like a crazy person. I guess that kind of helps. But but honestly, no matter what I was driving, what was going on, if my windows are tinted, if you could see through I've continually been pulled over. And my question is always like, officer, what is it that I've done that you, or just give me your information? And it's,
do they ever give you a ticket though? Or they're giving you a ticket for something, aren't they?
Well, no, I ask them like, well, I could have given you a ticket for this, but I'm not. I'm like, well,
interesting.
Why are you? And so,
usually it's like, hey, sir, do you know how fast you're?
Never.
Or
never
hey, sir, you didn't turn on your blinker, which was, wow, you're pulling me over for not turning on my blinker.
I'm going to tell you a real situation, and this is funny. I see Frank is here on today.
Congratulations, Frank.
Yes, congratulations, Frank Sanders out there on baby number 2, Michaela Elise. Amazing. He's saying I've had Officers jump 4 lanes to get behind me, pull me over, ask me if my car is stolen, and produce no cause of me getting pulled over.
I've never had that happen.
I mean, but this happens all of the time. And I think people just say, oh, what were you doing wrong? And that's kind of bogus to think that I had to be doing something wrong, when the fact is I'm just driving. I'm DWB, driving while black. Okay. And so, but I've had this happen so many times. If you look at my record, I have a good driving record. I'm not I speed inappropriate times. When the crowds are going fast, I'm driving. I'm not weaving through cars, and neither was this gentleman. But the fact of the matter is, when you're continually being told, I could have given you a ticket for this, maybe I just have great luck. But there's really no real issue. And so, I've had this, these situations happen, and I just think that it's absolutely crazy. So it'll be interesting to see what happened. And I think that this detective or this sergeant is just kind of like, I've had enough. I'm tired. I'm over this. This is ridiculous. You guys have been doing this for weeks or for months. It's time to stop. And I think that's a part of what we've talked about. Okay. I've had officers follow me for 10 miles, couldn't find anything, then turn their headlights. Can't they scan your drivers? I mean, your
can,
plate?
yeah, of course. They can scan the plate and go, is there something wrong? Is this car stolen or not? Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had one pull me over and be like, oh, is your insurance current? And I'm like,
you're
did
kidding
you notice
me.
that? I promise you not.
Wow.
I'm like, okay. And so
what did they pull you over for? Just checking to see if your insurance was current?
Well, one said, we couldn't see your license plate number. We thought your license plate light was out.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, well, I'm glad that America's now going to be safe, that you can now see my license plate light. But those kind of things happen. And over time, they just build up, and you get sick of it. But anyways, we'll see what happens with this particular situation. Kansas City, Kansas. I don't know if you've been to Kansas.
I have been. I have my son lived at Fort Leavenworth. So it was right outside of Kansas City, and he's going to be back.
Okay. Well, I've had uncles that were down there, same place. But, I'm not too big. When you start getting past Tennessee and you hit those states like Missouri and Mississippi and Alabama, I tend to not want to go there. Now, Florida is about as south that I'm going to be. Georgia, even places in Georgia, I'm not even too keen on. But but you go to the Upper Peninsula. I'll go to the Upper Peninsula. I mean, and it's it's funny because I thought white people were crazy up north. We were kids, like, don't be.
I think they're crazy. They live up there.
No, man. But they would be like, you're crazy as a black. Don't go up there. You're not safe. There's nothing but white people. But I promise you, I've been up there, and the hospitality that I've gotten from people, I haven't had the the Confederate flag, truck people chasing me down. I haven't had that experience. Everyone has been very hospitable, and probably more hospitable than what I've received downstate here in these areas. So, but I do think there has to be a certain level of craziness to endure.
The winters, man,
the winters up there over and over again, crazy. Now, absolutely, Rebecca Townsend. I remember that she said that happened to her son, Jarvon, who is an engineer. He says the cop turned on the highway to ask him whose truck he was driving. He drives a white Jeep. It's a very new Jeep. What's one of those trucks? It's the one that's got like the truck bed on it, though. Grand Cherokee.
Yeah. The Grand
Cherokee. Yeah.
I don't like those.
Yeah. So so it was, but he has a really nice car.
Yep.
He's 20-something years old. He is a state certified engineer, structural engineer. He's building stuff at places all over the place, and they pull them over and they're like, whose truck are you driving? Like, who's driving the truck? But these types of things happen. This is not something that is so strange for Black America. We noticed this, and it's interesting to see what will happen with the situation. Next, I want to talk about this for just a quick hot second. Elon Musk has now bought Twitter. Is it time to run away, or what's going on?
I'd never go on Twitter to begin with. I have zero interest in Twitter.
I've got thoughts.
I have a Twitter account, but I never use it, and I don't go look. It's just filled with people like, I don't know, arguing
on Twitter.
I find, I was going to say this because Art mentioned it this morning on the Art Lewis show on WSGW. He was talking about the Twitter acquisition, and I was going to say something to him, but he had gotten a few calls about something else, so couldn't mention it. But like,
share with us what you're thinking, Chad.
A lot of the concern is, number one, it sounds like he wants to privatize Twitter. So instead of Twitter being like, kind of an open, like you can make an account if you really want to, and you can follow stuff, and you don't even have to participate. Instead of that, it'd be like, well, you can pay for this level of access to some of the things on Twitter, and somehow, and he keeps toting that as, well, free speech. We got extra free speech here, and it's like,
so
is
it going to take us to the OK corral of social media now?
Like,
I mean, you pay, you can say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and already I'm like, I already don't want that, because there is a certain like self-governance on Twitter where you like, if somebody is getting a little out there, you can report them, and usually there's somebody at Twitter who goes, yeah, we don't want that.
Twitter lets everything stand.
It does for the most part.
Yeah.
If enough
I thought
people,
Twitter took people off their accounts.
No,
though.
that's Facebook.
Oh.
Facebook
will
is in bed with the government. They're being regulated every day by the Republicans, the Democrats, the bureaucrats, all the way around. But Twitter will allow you.
Instagram takes people off it.
Instagram will.
Yeah.
Well, because it's mostly pictures, and so images can be. But they have been really, because so many younger people have been tied to Instagram, so they will shut you down on Instagram and pull stuff down.
But that's also a problem too. Is if your kids are going on the internet, you have to go in with the explicit knowledge that it's the internet. It's
the internet.
It's the wild west of the universe still. Like there's the ocean, the depths of the ocean, deep space, and then the internet, and like those are like the uncharted territories still. And
I always say the internet is crazy, but no, Twitter will allow you to say just about whatever you want to for most cases. I've had a family member, and those who know me will know exactly what I'm talking about. Twitter famous by some things that were posted and stated, and I was just like, this has got to be illegal. And and you go and they say, hey, it doesn't violate our free speech, and so they continue to move forward. But we'll see what happens. So if he's looking to LinkedIn Twitter to where you have the basic, and then you get these additional privileges as a premium member, it'll be interesting to see how that plays, because Twitter is really used more so, I think, with celebrities and finding out what the world is doing.
Kareem, really quick, I didn't know this. What do you use LinkedIn for? Because I didn't realize people used LinkedIn like a Facebook substitute.
It's for professional. It's basically for it's like kind of like Facebook, but for professional things. And so, like when I was the CEO at Hemlock, I would frequently put stuff out on LinkedIn because you're connected to a lot of professionals in the same industry and things.
I don't know. I'll post to YouTube. I'll send you a link to my YouTube.
All right.
Remember our disagreement about your LinkedIn post?
Which one?
The one you're like, oh, I never looked at that. The one about the solar panels.
No, I don't remember that one.
Oh yeah, just like all panels are not created equal.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, something wrong with that?
We had that conversation, but anyways, but when we look at, we'll share it another time. When we look at, LinkedIn is really a great space to really build business and relationships, honestly.
Professionals.
Unfortunately,
you've started to see politics and personal things seep into LinkedIn as well. So
yes,
that's the beauty of the internet right there.
Does this mean Trump can start using Twitter again? Hey, he may be.
I thought Trump was banned from Twitter.
Yeah, that was different. He was banned from social media across the planet. Yeah. But it'll be interesting. Hey, we'll see if Elon likes him or not, to see if they'll give him back his platforms. But that'll be interesting. So we're going to talk really quick when we come back. We'll talk a little bit about Cinco de Mayo. This year, it's coming up here in Saginaw. The theme is In Memoria, which basically means they're remembering those who were lost during the pandemic. We'll talk about the parade. There's a number of things that are going on during that time. I love Cinco de Mayo. I like seeing the parade. I like the hot rides. I like the tamales.
Larry Rodarte keeps talking about all the food that's going to be there, and I'm excited.
You have to watch.
I'm going to be out of town, unfortunately.
It's actually going to be on the 7th of Mayo.
I'll still be out of town. My son's graduating. I'll be out of town.
7 de Mayo. But anyways, it'll be the 5th of May. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we get through. Probably next week, we'll talk about what Cinco de Mayo is all about. And Larry is going to do an amazing time. But what we have to watch with Larry is that Larry gives us the most fattening part of what Cinco de Mayo is all about. If you've ever been to La Civica, the Mexican Union, man, the tacos, the pepitos. I mean, just the food is absolutely amazing. So he's going to be cooking.
Are they going to have margaritas?
I'm sure that they will have something out there, but the tres leches cake, if you really like good food, tres leches is absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
I cannot wait for all this to take place. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and get into our conversation for today. Thank you, guys. I'm laughing. So Rebecca Garth Townsend, great. I didn't even think about Donald Trump being banned.
That's what I thought. Marjorie Taylor is banned. People who were spreading disinformation about COVID were banned.
So is he buying it? So he's like, hey, we're going to have our own platform.
It's funny because
because I saw an article this morning where a bunch of Republicans accounts got a whole bunch of new followers and a bunch of Democrats lost followers. And
wow,
I don't quite understand why. It had something to do with.
I think it's because of a lot of people jump ship and a lot of particular people jump ship. But one of the things that's funny was I don't think Elon Musk's Twitter account was verified for the longest time until he started buying shares.
Okay.
And
then he got verified.
And then he's like, finally, I'm Twitter official. And it's like, you had to buy the company.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So you were saying they were jumping ship. Why?
Mostly because a lot of people are afraid that Twitter doesn't necessarily lean one way or another politically, which is funny enough. At least from my perspective, because people can say whatever they want, but they are very afraid that not only will, from what I am understanding, Twitter will politically start leaning a little right, and not even like centrist right, a little farther on the right, and also Elon Musk is going to ban anybody who says critiques him in a way that even if it's constructive, that he doesn't like a lot of naysayers, is what we're understanding.
That's going to be interesting. Because I would agree with you. I don't see a slant to Twitter. Not that I get on there looking for a slant. I'm usually being nosy and looking at what is the latest celebrity happen. What's the latest video?
Celebrities are dropping on Twitter?
Yeah, big time. They use Twitter all the time.
I thought it was Instagram they did stuff.
No. Okay. Celebrities are okay. So
also,
let me give you the social media layout here. Okay. So first of all, there's something called Snapchat, and Snapchat is the devil. I say that all the time. When I was younger and I used Snapchat, it was for nefarious reasons. It was never for anything that was above board.
It disappears, right?
It disappears.
Supposedly.
Now you can screenshot. When that happened, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, and then it updates you like somebody took a screenshot.
Someone took a screenshot. Yeah. So get scared and figure out who did that, right? But so Snapchat, and that's really for younger kids who are doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing. Facebook, that's
old man game. My kids don't use it.
Facebook was really more so of not baby boomers, but X generation, those individuals that were in college and 90s, early 2000s kind of thing. And it was supposed to be for them to keep in touch and that kind of thing. Facebook, right? Recognize your friends. Then we came up with Instagram, and the millennials were the ones who really gravitated so if you're a company out there, you need to be paying attention to this, because I'm giving you free information. I get asked this question all of the time. How do you engage millennials? How many times do you hear that kind of thing?
Never.
You never hear people ask that question?
No. Man, I've been in businesses where you don't worry about engaging the millennials. So.
I guess if that's the case, but in certain businesses, they are such a viable part of the force. And they ask that. So millennials are always on Instagram. That was their space and what they liked. But when you begin to think about Twitter, you're thinking about business professionals. So you're thinking about people who are in spaces, a lot of consultants. It's a great place to find a job. Let people know that you're open for employment.
That's what they did on LinkedIn. They do that as well.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. So LinkedIn is that space. And then Twitter is really for celebrities. It's where you go.
That's what it used to be. It used to be like, but I follow Will Smith to hear what he's talking about.
Yeah. and so you have that, and you have more government.
I see a lot of political debates on there. Now, I don't want to listen to this.
Well, you got to consider their algorithm. So if you're in you go into a couple of those streams, they keep feeding you the same stuff.
Well, we have to.
We're now third generation.
We do have to eventually get back into the show, but I want to say something. you guys talked about TikTok one day on one of the shows,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and my curiosity got the best of me. And I made
You've never been on TikTok.
I was never on TikTok
I've never been
until
on
you guys
TikTok.
talked
Really?
about it.
Never.
And then like and TikTok kind of scares me because people talk about how the algorithm works, and like TikTok almost in a scientific way figures out who you are based on like the few times you watch videos, and it'll be like, I know exactly who you are. I'm gonna give you all of these videos, and it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary how like, oh, I do enjoy these videos and I relate a lot, but to like a scary degree.
We were talking about the inaccuracy of their algorithm and how they had to go back and correct their algorithm because the creators were these young Black kids, and they kept showing, you know, Miley Cyrus and Jenny McCarthy out there doing all these dances, but never gave the content creators the action.
You know,
so that's why they had the blackout on Twitter.
You know what I got though? You know what
TikTok.
I got like almost right away when I started doing that? Like, I guess my phone is listening to what I'm doing, because I get a lot of Black content creators, like Black political groups and you know, like Black representation groups. I get a lot of videos from them, like talking about the status of the country and how we can do better and things like that. And I'm like, it followed me home.
Rebecca Townsend said, "What happened to MySpace?"
Oh, that's gone.
Rest in peace, my
That's
friend.
like the 8-track tape, I think.
That was like the old X generation and the young baby boomers. Okay.
Oh,
That was the
MySpace.
8-track. That
Now-
had a moment in time.
now I'm sad.
Rebecca, please don't tell any. Don't ask that question to anyone else ever again. Okay, don't ever bring up MySpace. I think my MySpace account is probably still floating out there somewhere in space. But no, MySpace. That yeah, no one's using that anymore. But that's funny that you said that.
Mhm.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's
Let's get back into it.
You're listening to United Shades of Grey on WSGW.
Hey, this is Kareem. We're back from commercial break with more United Shades of Grey. Before we were in the commercial break, we were talking about Larry Rodarte. Let me make sure I roll the tongue the right way. And he's going to be cooking out there. Cinco de Mayo, they have been canceled for 2 years. The parade is going to be back if you're here in the city of Saginaw. Saturday, May 7th, which is actually, you know, a better day to do a parade than, I guess, a Thursday. But over 100 entrants are already supposed to be a part of that parade. That parade is such a great part of life. If you are Hispanic, Chicano, in the area celebrating the holiday, it begins at 14th Street across from Ojibwe Island, crossing the Court Street Bridge, then makes its transition down Michigan Avenue, and it will end at SASA this year. Normally they go over to what used to be Huntington Park, and now it is Jolt Park, but they'll be at SASA, and there will be food vendors and the Low for Life cars and all of those other things that you've come to know about the Cinco de Mayo parade. And so it should be a lot of fun. Make sure you get out there. Festivities start at 12 noon is what I'm told. 12 to 5 is when the big party starts. I think the parade starts at like 10, I think, or something like that.
10:30 a.m. We'll actually be out there.
That's right. You're going to be doing live.
Yeah, we're going to do a live stream and a live recording of Mi Gente on Air. So
Mi Gente.
Come say hi.
Right. So shout out to my guy, Larry Rodarte. And so you guys get out there and enjoy the Cinco de Mayo festivities. All right. So I'm going to get right into where we are. Let me ask, before we get into this, how diverse were the communities that you guys have that you move in? How diverse are those spaces?
You mean today or where?
Now, yeah,
right
just-
this
yeah.
minute. Mine, not very diverse, to be honest. I mean,
Share with us, because I think this helps for people to know.
Yeah,
who
I
you
mean,
are.
I live in Midland, Michigan. It's not a very diverse community. And you know, I worked at Dow.
It is, man. It's very diverse. It's Dow, and more Dow.
So I have a few friends that are Hispanic, but generally speaking, it's not very diverse. daughter-in-law is Hispanic.
This is bad, Mark.
What's that?
Because I have a black friend. I'm the black friend.
You're my black friend.
What's up with that,
you won't come over to my house, but that's another story.
It's in Midland. We'll be lurking in the. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Mark.
I actually grew up in Hawaii.
Yeah.
For the most part, which was extremely diverse. It's a melting pot, and frankly, I was a minority as a pure Caucasian. So I grew up in a pretty diverse environment, but professionally, for the most part, it's not been very diverse, other than when I lived in Charleston, West Virginia, and that was a fairly diverse population.
All right, what about you, Chandler?
Unfortunately, not as diverse as I'd like it to be. I know I do have some Hispanic friends,
which is surprising because you don't sound like somebody who's been stuck out there in the thumb all your life.
I'm gonna say thank you, Saginaw Valley, because that's where I have a few black friends out there that I met through theater, but I don't hang out with them very much anymore because I don't hang out in that scene very much anymore. I should go do a play or something, but yeah, mostly Hispanic and white friends.
What's up? Okay? How can y'all got Hispanic friends and I'm the only black man y'all know? What's up with that? Come on,
the only one I know.
And see, this is the problem that we have in Black America. See, the darker the shade is, the faster you're left off the friend list. But the
reality is, most of my friends are people I've worked with.
Okay,
and at Dow, and it's usually people I work with directly. Either I work for or work for me, and I just there haven't been a lot of black colleagues that I've had. Just haven't been.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And myself, I guess a space is, it's very diverse. I've had the experience of growing up in totally white spaces as a young guy, but now my spaces are filled with very diverse groups of people doing great things. Yeah. And I think the collaborate, I make it very intentional to work and to collaborate with people in various spaces. So, all of my people, yes.
Kareem, you're one of those people that like they say one human being cannot interact with more, you cannot have a relationship with more than 100 people. And I feel like you have a relationship with probably 500 people, in some way.
He's the mayor of Saginaw.
Yeah,
he's the de facto mayor of Saginaw.
My friends call me the mayor of Whoville.
to an exhausting degree. I can't even imagine how many people you interact with every day.
What's funny is that people always say, Kareem, why do you have so many people on your social media networks? Like on Facebook, I actually have, I lost one friend because I said something I guess they didn't like. So I'm down to 4,999. There's no way in the world you can know these people, but I actually know these people, and I don't engage with all of them on a regular basis. I don't spend that much time on social media, but I do have those relationships. And so, if they come in, they'll so for birthdays or Christmas, I might get 3,000-4,000 people saying happy birthday or Merry Christmas or whatever it is. But I'm very relational. So everywhere I go, and I may never remember your name, but I will always remember your face. I'm like, hey, what's up, my guy? Hey, what's up, girl? We have those conversations, but I've learned to really appreciate diversity, honestly. And being in those spaces and creating those spaces intentionally. And so it's been fun. I just thought I would ask that question because I think that shapes our conversations, and people who are listening to us on a regular basis, should probably know those kinds of things about us. But we're going to talk about today's topic. And today's topic is, does corporate America, those companies out there that are making billions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, do they have a moral financial debt to pay to Black America? And so I think this is an interesting conversation because Mark and I are a part of corporate America from two very different places. And Mark has been the CEO of probably one of the big hitters, especially in this area. In this area. And I, having worked, with companies across the country and really around the globe, when you think about my relationship with Chinese corporations, and Chandler, who is newly out there running the world, running through the lilies and just kind of enjoying, embracing life. I'm interested in having this conversation because I think, as I said to you earlier, it brings us back to spaces we've been before. And we're going to keep coming here until something changes or we begin to have a clearer understanding of where we are with certain things. So silence is complicity. We always say that you're complicit whenever you're silent, you don't say anything. And so for a long period of time, and I'm just going to throw this out here and you guys can pick it up wherever we are. There are companies out there that have benefited from the impact of what has happened in our country in terms of historics. So that silence, which has created a place of complicity because they were making money. Does that mean that now these companies, and we'll name a few of them in a minute, that they have a responsibility for their complicit behavior over the years? What do you think, Chandler? I'm kind of interested in what you have to say first.
To a degree.
Okay.
Like we've had the discussions about like reparations, but like that's not reparations because like I don't know, it wasn't quite whole to begin with or something like that. But I don't know. I actually just watched a video today about somebody who was putting out like job applications, and he noticed that there was a disparity. Like he put out with using a traditionally like black name and a traditionally white name, and he was like, there is a disparity here. Like nobody's calling this guy, but a lot of people are calling this guy. And I think like that's one of the like problems is we're not giving everybody enough opportunities to make money in this country.
Mark, so go ahead. When you think about this, Mark, and you brought up something that made me think of something. Names on resumes, names that come through. I used to hate to use. I was like, why could my family name me like Michael? Michael Bowen is the most sterile name. You don't know who I am.
John White.
You know what I'm saying? It could get more
John
sterile
Bowen.
than that. But my name was actually that's what my uncle's name is, John Bowen. But when I looked at him, like I am Kareem Bowen, so that either I am from India or one of the Middle Eastern countries, but then Bowen is so English, so it throws up. But Kareem Bowen, I'm just like, you know, when you say Kareem, then you get the middle name. What's your middle initial? Jabbar. I mean, come on, it's like a line of fire for people who want to, eliminate me from a pool or a process. But when you think about names, have those names, how do you feel that they impact people's opportunities?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure people have unconscious biases. And I just don't, I mean, when I get a resume, I'm not even looking at a name, frankly, a lot of times.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
But I think when there's clearly names that are, the person's clearly black or Hispanic. And I think if you have unconscious biases, it has an impact, probably. I'd like to think most people, though, if they have a bias or unconscious bias, they kind of go past that. And so, but
you give people a lot of credit.
I
Mark.
give more people credit than maybe I should, because I ultimately believe most people. Look, I've got my own biases, and I'm not going to share them because I'm not proud of them, but I do. But I'm cognizant of them for the most part, I think, and I try to keep those in check when I'm doing things.
And I'll tell you why. And I always throw myself on my own sword. I remember going, and if I heard an Asian name, I was like, "Ooh, that person's probably smart." I would say that, like in my mind, like this person's probably smart.
Yeah, it's like I used to. This is a lot, but I used to play basketball. I was a pretty decent basketball player.
He played against Barack Obama. By the way,
and I would go. My dad was in the Army. I'd go to the base.
That's why he cool and he got swagger.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I would go to the base, and it was a lot of enlisted black guys.
Yeah.
And if I walked on the court and they hadn't played with me before, they think I'd suck. Because and they'd put the worst player on me, and when I start to light them up, the amount of grief they would give this guy, of this skinny white kid, torching him, was just hilarious. But there was an assumption like, oh, this is a skinny white kid, he can't play.
But see, you gotta always be aware and ready for the pistol Pete's on the court.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you.
Just like, again, this is like I told you, I went to Notre Dame, and if you saw a black guy at Notre Dame, you assumed
what team you play on.
What are you, a basketball player, a football player,
right?
Or a track athlete? What? And now the reality is probably 90% of them were, but not 100%.
Absolutely.
So, anyway,
I was that guy who turned down those scholarships because I didn't want to play sports anymore. But it's funny. He said light them up out there. Did he say light them up? He did. See, this is the thing. This is what and it goes beyond it. But Mark, I'm going to tell you, I sat there and when I watched you walk, I was like, Mark's an athlete. because game recognizes game. If you are really an athlete, athletes got a certain kind of swagger when they walk. And the way you were walking on your toe, I said, this dude, I bet he's got a little game in there. I bet he does. But anyway, so I think these things are interesting. Not that they are perfect, but I'll tell you, I used to look at names when I look at the state. I'm like, this person, wow, they're probably pretty smart. And I will look at these different, and this is crazy because this talks about the bias that we have even within our own communities. And for me, there were certain Black names that just weren't even getting an interview because I was not, I'm telling you the truth.
Wow.
I was not going to be.
What were they? I'm curious.
This is self-hatred at its best, self-hatred 101. But there were certain names that they were not getting an interview. And the reason they weren't getting an interview is because I was not going to allow them to come in and further make me look crazy. This is stuff that
give me an example of a name. I'm curious.
Tyrone never got a job.
Tyrone.
I mean, but
that's a common name.
But it does.
Okay.
But there's an understanding with, and so for a long time, until you really deal with yourself and deal with those biases, that was something that I had to recognize. Like, there's something, dude. Like, why are you tripping on Tyrone? Why are you tripping on Craig? Why these are names, that were out there. And it was because there were some things that I had embedded about how I was raised, because I was raised in a community that was really a white space. There was very few Blacks. My family is Black as Black can be, but it wasn't until I left those white spaces and began to ingratiate. We had a conversation before. You can be Black on the outside and not really understand the struggle of a people and really not be able to identify with people of that very same race. And those were issues that I have. And I see that in operation in so many of the people that are around. And so it's a concern for me. And so when people say that, we overcome our biases, I know that I did. And I had to really work.
You got to work
on making that happen.
Yep.
So I want to talk a little bit next. We're going to talk a little bit a legacy of inequality. And it all began with chattel slavery. And this is where things get so exciting. And I love to have this conversation. But when we talk about the legacy of inequality and our great country, and I love the United States, for those of you out there think, why does he hate the country? Go back up. This is my country. I don't know nothing about Africa. I'm not an African American. I am a Black man.
A recent celebrity actually make that point. Like, I don't want to be called an African American.
Yeah,
I was born in this country.
Yeah,
I love this country. I don't want to be called African American.
Yeah, Elon Musk is what? Afrikaans. He's from South Africa. I mean, he's more African than I am, unfortunately. But the fact of the matter is, I'm a Black American. Yes,
it's a weird kind of being from Africa, though, because like,
yeah, I mean, if you keep it real, we understand that. But that's, I've never been there. You know what I mean? I've never, in terms of living or anything. But when we think about the legacy of inequality, there is such. How do we begin to overcome that legacy? Because legacy is something that you pass down for the next generation, right? It involves we talked about legacy before. It involves property, it involves ideas, it involves family history. And so when we think about the legacies that exist in this world, because our conversation was, does corporate America have a moral or financial debt? How do we reckon the legacies that we've inherited, be them good, bad, and the ugly, with understanding that this was a legacy that started with chattel slavery?
I guess what I would say here is, I think companies have an obligation to the communities they operate in, not for something that happened 50 years ago or 100 years ago, but because they have an obligation to the community that they operate in to try to make it better.
Okay.
And so the way I always looked at it is, when I was, the CEO at Hemlock, was I had multiple stakeholders. They were the owners of the company, the employees, and then the local community. And as a company that was profitable and growing, finally, we had an obligation to the local community to try to make it a better place. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was really interested in is we were in a county that had very kind of impoverished, historically disadvantaged community, and how might we use the work and jobs we had at Hemlock as an opportunity to help people that came from in those communities to pull themselves out of those communities. Because ultimately, I believe that you have to give people opportunities, the training and the opportunities to improve their stature in the community, improve their socioeconomic capabilities to allow for that kind of growth. And companies have an obligation to help create those opportunities for those people that are disadvantaged but have the talent and the wherewithal and the desire to make their lives better.
Okay.
Now, may I ask who?
No, may I ask?
May I ask?
On cross-examination.
You're right. I feel like that's what I thought. Is this cross-examination?
Who decides what makes the community better?
Oh.
Well, I don't know that anybody decides that per se. There's no one answer. I mean,
I decide.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was like there's a fairly large historically disadvantaged community in this county. And I had this belief that if we could provide them the training and an opportunity for higher paying jobs, that would be better for the community.
You know what? I said something. I want to say this. You did something, Mark, right, that so many people get so wrong. When you wanted to impact communities of color, you didn't just come up with a plan and roll it out and say, hey, this is what we're going to do to make your lives better. But you began to engage those communities in order to make sure that they were brought into the process.
I've seen that. It's interesting so many times now. Like, I was just talking to someone the other day, and they've got this plan. It's like, well, have you actually talked to the people that you might want to?
We looked at the statistics, and this is what they said.
And now this person had, to their credit.
Right.
But it's amazing to me how frequently people who look like me come up with these ideas and then roll them out without ever talking to the people of the community they're trying to impact. So
remember, we were talking. You said you didn't really like the concept of white privilege.
Yeah,
that is what. And it's not a negative. That's what privilege does. Privilege puts you in a position that you think, hey, this is how you solve their issues.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is that you don't even know what my issues are until you begin to engage me. And so, we get so, and especially the listeners that are probably hearing the show, you're probably like, listen, white privilege, I hate that word. But the reality of it is, it's not, let's let down our guards, release the fangs, and just think about this. It's just saying that you're operating from a place where you're not engaging those communities. And a lot of times the engagement doesn't occur because, like you said, where do we start? We don't know anybody who looks like this person. And so it's not always a bad thing. It's just an unknown thing. And so we've got to begin to work past those things and find people that we can have these conversations. Chandler, you have been really a breath of fresh air to see someone young like yourself that is open to understanding and listening to see how things can change. All right, here we go. Capital investment for Black-owned communities. And this is what made me think about this whole conversation. And I don't want to say America, I'm talking corporations, Mark, because I think that this is, something that a lot of people need to take a look at. We can look at police departments, we can look at businesses, we can look at corporations. Is there a need for a capital investment? And capital investment, usually talks about dollars. Investment, we'll use the term investment. Is there a need for these businesses to invest in Black-owned businesses, Black-owned communities? I say this because, Mark, you are an investor in Black-owned business.
I am.
And so
Monty Holland, Tayon Fashion.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, he's. You guys should all go check it out. You know what? It would be interesting to have Monty on here one time. I was thinking about
that relationship would be so amazing.
It would be, and just the difference. What I find interesting is just between the different cultures, their different fashion senses and
Mark
styles.
dresses like a Black man on Sunday, y'all. No, but Mark, I was tripping. You came in, and when we did the kickoff for HSC and me, they was like, this dude is sharp. I'm like, oh, Mark is sharp as the tack. That's the phrase that we use.
Yeah.
But you like to dress.
I do. I love to dress, and it's a way of expressing who I am. I used to get in trouble. I would go out of my way not to dress in the corporate uniform. And I had a mentor that threw me out of his office because he felt I was trying to sabotage my career. So, because I was wearing pink cashmere socks.
Come on, who does that? Pink cashmere. Yeah. So, Mark, all you gotta do is break out with the white mink, and the Giottis, the loafers, and
Superfly.
Superfly. We were talking about that. Actually, Mark, for a gift for what you had done and just the investment you were making in the community, we gave you some pop art that was created by one of our local artists.
As you know, I had it in my office, displayed prominently.
Yeah, I was like,
in my
I
house now.
hope this doesn't get Mark in trouble.
No.
You know, but it was, I mean, when I looked at your office, and it was a very eclectic variety of different things, I thought this was an amazing thing to do. I hate, Mark, when you look at what was the most important thing, when you looked at bringing equity and inclusion to business, and then we only got a couple minutes, share with us what you think was the most important thing that you could do or any other CEO could do out there.
Well, I think it's kind of what you talked about. You have to engage that community, build it. I'm all about, I think, to make things happen, you have to have a partnership, and to have a partnership, there has to be a trust, and to have trust, you have to build a relationship. So you have to reach out and try to proactively reach out to that community and build a relationship. And then I think it's try to work with those people to try to identify people that have the capabilities and talents and the desire to give them an opportunity. It's a little bit, we're out of time, but there's people out there that are coming from a disadvantaged position that have all the talent in the world. And it's all about how do you identify those people and give them the opportunity to succeed? Because if you do, they will.
This is why I love this guy so much. He's a good guy. He's sound at heart. When I was told, Mark, that you were a good guy, they were like, this dude is way better. He makes me look like a sinner. And they've been right about that. I'll tell you today, I had an amazing conversation today with Dr. Gavin from Delta College. I was absolutely blown away. He and Dr. Gavin and he and Dr. Curry, the president and vice president of Delta College, and their plan for bringing opportunities to engage communities who have been underserved over the years are absolutely amazing. So shout out to what you guys are doing out there. I think it is exciting. It's inspiring. And I'm looking for great things to happen. Chandler, Mark, thank you for this conversation. An hour goes by so fast.
It does.
But I cannot wait till next week. You guys tune in for more United Shades of Gray. You guys take care. And God bless you. Grace and peace. Jenny, thank you so very much for sitting here laughing. She says, I wish people had minds like you. Everyone wants, oh, not my mind. You're talking about Mark. Oh, okay. No. Mark he's a good guy. And so I told him, you know, that this is a great space. And I think that one of the ways that we have to make change is we have to be the change that we want to say. We say that forever, but we've got to mentor that change. Yep. And I think that our relationship and what we do on this show has the potential to do just that.
You got to ask for like an hour and a half. Well, you know what? I was thinking about that. I was like, man, you guys.
Because we always run out of time.
You guys need like another.
Because I've been meaning to talk to you. Like, we either have to cut something out or we have to go longer.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys could use another half hour because all the discussion is great. And then I was thinking, I was like, no, because once you give them another half hour, then you'll need another half hour because it'll keep going.
Oh, so we're talking 4 hours here. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, because I was thinking like you needed to cut down
some of the initial time, but I think that leads people into.
I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
the first segment's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything that I don't have fun doing.
Yeah, but the second conversation, which is more substantive, always gets cut short, kind of a thing.
Mark, they think that you're great. They say you guys work well together. We absolutely love it.
One of these days, I'll get Kareem to actually accept an invitation to my house.
You're an awesome individual. What is this? Mark is not the only person on the show. I am here as well. No, but Mark, we're going to get together. And you're absolutely, I'm going
to invite Frank and his family and you, so you feel comfortable. There's another black man there.
Ain't got nothing, man. This is the thing, and this is real. Black people have operated in white spaces for so long that it does not phase.
I'm not going to ask you to serve the food or anything. So.
Now I'm gonna be Bentley. Okay, I got you, Mr. Belvedere. But and so that's something I've never am afraid of, and it's interesting. Jody, like, what about me, Mark? What about me? What about you? No, I'm just joking. What about us? And so I think that that's something that's really interesting because I love to see white people in all black spaces. To see how they operate.
I told you I was bussed into a black inner city school in 6th grade.
Yeah, that's something a little different about you, though, dude. That's why you are where you are. And I think that we have to have those experiences because those experiences really shape how we think and we view things. Yeah. But he's a white man who believes in people, not race. That is so key, Jenny DeMoore. If we could all get to a place that we begin to believe in one another.
I believe people are we're people. Yeah, we have different skin colors and everything.
And that's true.
What
and
drives you is no different than what drives me.
Absolutely.
No different whatsoever.
Absolutely. And so if we could get more people to really reflect and focus on those commonalities, and I say this all the time, when we think about what happened with the civil rights movement and the changes that were taking place, it wasn't because Black people were fighting for their rights. It was because white people felt that what was going on with Black people.
Enough.
Absolutely.
Enough is enough.
So they said, we're no longer going to tolerate these things. And so it requires a coalition of people. And those people are going to be very diverse if real change is going to take place. So it requires Blacks and whites to be fed up with the injustices of the world. And we got to be over just being, not being racist, but being anti-racist.
I think the other thing, and why I wanted to do this show, is what I really don't like about what's going on today is it's so divisive.
Absolutely.
So if you don't believe everything I believe, you're
the whole thing. Yeah.
And what I love about this show is we don't always agree.
Absolutely.
But we're still friends. We still like each other, and we still work together to make things happen. Because again, I think people who are on opposite sides of the aisle, if they really sat down with each other, they'd find they actually have more things in common that they have disagreements about.
You know what, Mark?
And it's just crazy to me.
What we need to do, and you guys are getting this first, and my creative mind is thinking, we need to do a community forum on race. We'll set it up like our show normally does, and we provide a safe, open space to have these conversations. Those of you who are listening, the Married Wives Club on the 17th of May.
Got it in my calendar.
Yeah, the third Tuesday of May. They hosted, Mark and I are going to be there. They've asked me to come and speak. I've asked Mark to participate in that conversation, and we're going to be talking about things like you hear on this show. And what's so cool about it is that the Married Wives Club, and no offense, I said somebody was like, Kareem, you are crazy. You said, what am I going to do with this old woman? No, but this
she may not appreciate that a characterization.
No, I mean, but she said the same. But this is a group of older white women, and they have asked, that we come in to have these difficult conversations. And to me, that is a home run. Because this younger generation that we're dealing with is much more in tune with racial equality and dealing with one another than the older generations. And so to have someone come in from that genre or generation, I think is really powerful and can lead to some great opportunities. So I'm excited to see what happens there. But those of you out there, we thank you for your time and tuning in this week. Come back next week. We'll have more conversations. I'm going to really see if we have Dr. Dawn Hinton. She is a sociologist professor out at Saginaw Valley State University. Great friend. To have her come in and we'll really talk about CRT, critical race theory, what it is.
Boy.
She'll give you the real understanding and explanation. Okay. she'll give us the academic version,
all right.
Which is where this all started. Yeah. So we thank you. Thank you guys for listening in. We appreciate you all. God bless you. Grace and peace.